So Tom Parker Bowles is driving about with private letters belonging to Princess Diana in the trunk of his car, and the reason he's cited for possessing them is, in all honesty, even more perplexing than the discovery itself. In the event that you are going to be caught in possession of some of the most important documents in the history of the contemporary royal family, you would think that you would have a better reason prepared. However, when King Charles removed the lid of that trunk at the palace and discovered folders that were marked with the word Diana Confidential, the explanation that followed was that, in essence, someone had given them to me for the purpose of a book project. A book being written. He is a writer who focuses on food. He praises restaurants, he talks about cheese and roast chicken. And we are expected to think that certain classified government files and Diana's personal handwritten letters just managed to fall into his lap as research material. He writes about all of these things. The strangeness begins at this point. Join us here at Crown Updates, and hit that subscribe button if you enjoy unraveling the mysteries of royal drama and the stories that aren't included in official press releases. Before we get into all of that, we want to make sure you know that we are here to help you. All of the things that the palace would like you to forget are broken down here. Now, let's get back to the chaos. Therefore, let's properly set the scenario, since the context that this whole incident is taking place and makes it even odd. There was no such thing as a typical Tuesday. A lavish luncheon was being held at Buckingham Palace on this particular evening. It is the kind of occasion where every fork placement is planned and every smile is prepared. And we are talking about golden lighting chandeliers, world leaders, diplomats, and celebrities. This meal was supposed to be Charles's opportunity to demonstrate his strength and to demonstrate that the monarchy was stable under his rule. Charles had finally become king after waiting longer than any other successor in the history of the world. Upon their arrival, William and Catherine appeared flawless, with Catherine wearing a beautiful emerald gown that drew the attention of every camera flash. The throng cheered respectfully as Charles and Camilla walked in. Hand in hand, her silver gown gleaming as they moved through the entrance. And then, just like any other name on the guest list, Tom Parker Bowles arrived in his sleek black car, wearing a smart suit and meticulously combing his hair for the occasion. With the exception of William, he was never merely another identify. You could see it in William's jaw the instant Tom stepped out of that car, tight and controlled, observing. He was the living reminder that Camilla's family had woven itself into the fabric of the monarchy, and you could feel it in his jaw. With a string orchestra playing quietly and an unending table covered in white fabric and crystal glasses, the dinner itself went through the motions. Toasts were made on the bond between nations, as well as unity and history. Tom sat just a few seats away from Charles, joking pleasantly and engaging in conversation with ministers about matters pertaining to cuisine and restaurants, as well as life outside the confines of the palace. Few of the guests considered him to be charming. Willie did not do it. The sound of laughter seemed out of place to William, as if it were an occurrence that was not supposed to take place in the royal hall. Furthermore, Harry was not even present to see any of it happen. It was a different life, one that was far removed from palace dinners and forced grins, and he had chosen to live it across the ocean. The fact that his chair was empty was a comment in and of itself. As a result, the night was punctuated by an undercurrent of tension that the cameras were unable to adequately capture. This tension was courteous on the surface, but boiling beneath the surface. Following the conclusion of the banquet and the guests' departure into the nighttime atmosphere of London, Charles excused himself and informed Camilla that he required some fresh air. Following his footsteps as they reverberated against the marble, he made his way throughout the corridors of the palace and then stepped out into the cool courtyard. The guards remained silent and vigilant as they stood at their places. A line of black automobiles shone brightly in the light of the lanterns, At that moment, he became aware of Tom's automobile. It was just a small opening, nearly undetectable, yet it was enough to bring attention to the fact that the trunk was not completely closed. At the palace, where the level of security is higher than in any other location in Britain, nothing under any circumstances is left unlocked. Every car is subjected to inspection. Why, therefore, was Tom's trunk left open? Charles wore a frown. His eyes wandered around. Nobody was keeping an eye on it. After taking a few steps closer, he paused for a little period before lifting the lid of the trunk. There were stacks of documents and envelopes that had been sealed and knotted with red string inside, which were concealed beneath a dark fabric. Stamps from various government offices are affixed to the old and damaged cards. Additionally, there was a single folder that had bold writing across it, and it was sitting right on top of everything else, almost as if it had been placed there to be seen. This is Diana's confidential information. Charles stumbled backwards slowly. His complexion became drab. He was unable to breathe, even before he had a chance to grasp what he was looking at. A voice spoke up from behind him, breaking the silence that had been around him. "What exactly are you doing, William, your father?" As soon as William's eyes moved, past Charles and toward the open trunk, there was an instantaneous change in the expression on his face. Shock coming first, followed by something far more severe, a rage. Now let's take a look at the fundamental contradiction that causes this whole situation to fall apart. Tom provided an explanation by stating that he had not stolen anything. The files were allegedly given to him by someone, a man with whom he had previously collaborated. An individual who trades in rare documents allegedly informed him that he possessed information about Diana, and that individuals would pay millions of dollars for it. At first, Tom asserts that he did not believe him. Nevertheless, after seeing the documents, he decided to take them in order to ensure that they were secure. Secure? At a banquet held in a palace in the trunk of his automobile, where they could have been discovered by anybody. It is not safekeeping to do that. This is not even close to being a good hiding site, as it involves transporting explosive material to a single location, where it would be discovered and cause the most damage. What would be the point of bringing these documents to Buckingham Palace if you were truly concerned about safeguarding Diana's legacies and preventing them from falling into the wrong hands? Can you explain why you wouldn't put them in a safe? I don't understand why you wouldn't immediately inform Charles or the palace security. The instant you exert any kind of pressure on the reasoning, it entirely collapses under your presence. Moreover, William exerted some pressure. Although his voice was quivering with anger, he pointed to the trunk and demanded that Tom explain the reason why his mother's personal letters, government reports, and confidential files were found in the vehicle that belonged to Camilla's son. "Don't tell me a lie," he pled. "These are all confidential files pertaining to my mother. From whence did you obtain them?" When asked about them, Tom responded that he was informed that they were for a book project. William's incredulity was evident, and it was a book project after all. "You anticipate that we will believe this? Are you saying that you were given Diana's personal letters in exchange for a cookbook? You can tell everything you need to know about how bizarre this scenario was just by reading that line." Tom is a critic of the eatery. Restaurants and recipes are the foundation upon which his entire professional identity is supported. The notion that someone contacted him with sensitive royal documents for the purpose of a literary enterprise not only undermines his credibility, but also entirely disregards the way in which any of this operates. Documents that are considered to be confidential are not simply floating around the rare manuscript market waiting to be purchased by food writers. They would go to the press. They would go to a publisher who has a track record in royal biographies, and they would go to someone who could pay the millions of dollars that Tom stated. If someone actually possessed Diana's confidential letters, they would go to the press. It is not possible for them to send them on to the son of the Queen Consort and tell him, "Here, use these for your next book about pasta." Viewers, are you outraged that Camilla's son, a food critic, had the audacity to lie to Prince William's face, claiming he was just using Princess Diana's most private and confidential letters as research for a book? Yes or no? Put yes in the comments if you believe this was a calculated cover-up. Charles made an effort to mediate, but it was clear that he was torn right down the middle. The voice of his son, who would one day become king, was filled with the rage that was rightfully his. Camilla, his wife, the woman he had worked so hard to protect, and her son, who was now connected to a secret that had the potential to bring the crown to its knees, were on the other side. After removing a single envelope and opening it with shaky hands, Charles discovered a letter written in Diana's handwriting. The letter was addressed to Charles, unmistakable, sophisticated, and recognizable. These were not only recordings, rather they were extracts from Diana's private thoughts that she had during her most difficult times. The shaking in his hand made it difficult for him to continue reading. His father hesitated as he observed all of this, and William saw it all, with his anger growing with each passing second. According to William, this is now over. This evening we will either face him, or I will do so. One thing, however, is abundantly clear. If you continue to defend him, you will end up losing me. If you continue to protect him. This is not a threat that is not taken lightly. This is the heir to the throne, putting a line in the marble and letting the king know exactly what the price would be for remaining loyal to Camilla's family. The time frame provided here is significant because it illustrates how quickly this went from being a private discovery to becoming a public eruption. During the late hours of the night following the meal, that confrontation took place in the courtyard. At the break of dawn, Camilla was aware of the news. The trunk has been opened, according to a single message that was whispered around the corridors. As she sat up in bed, the silk sheets began to fall around her, and she immediately understood what its significance was. It was confirmed by her assistant. William was aware of it. He was aware of the letters, and it was her son Tom who had been found in possession of them. Complete and utter panic was Camilla's response. During the time that she was in Tom's car, she hushed Diana's letters, while clutching the edge of the bed, the rings cutting into her skin. This turned out to be her worst dread brought to life. Once again, Diana's shadow, the ghost that had been following her during her whole relationship with Charles, had resurfaced in the most perilous manner that was possible. And William, the young man who had before gazed at her with a resentful expression on his face, now had evidence to support his displeasure. As she hurried throughout the corridors of the palace, her slippers brushed against the stone, and every image that was installed on the walls appeared to be observing her with critical eyes. The moment she arrived at the courtyard and saw Tom lingering around, motionless and ashamed, and Charles standing by the car looking years older and gray with misery, she broke down into pieces. "You idiot," she remarked to her son. "Are you aware of what you've gone through? You have completely ruined everything. Your actions have caused wounds that have never fully healed. You have provided William with the weapon that he has continuously desired." Tom made another attempt to explain that he had not stolen the documents and that he was keeping them secure. But Camilla's response undermined all of his efforts to explain the situation. "Is it safe? What do you mean by safe? Locked inside the trunk of a car waiting to be found by someone. Whom are you safe from? Tom. Why is it William? What about the king? Is it from me? And to tell you the truth, that is the question that has not yet been answered in a way that is satisfactory. Who is safe from you? Making the choice to bring these documents into palace grounds was the single worst mistake that could have been made if the objective was to prevent them from being used for any purpose. If the intention was to eventually expose them, then concealing them in a trunk is not a logical choice either. In the event that the objective was to sell them, the timing and place are peculiar. None of the hypotheses that may be considered are consistent with the actions. What makes this feel less like an accident and more like something that was waiting to be discovered is the fact that this took place. While sobbing uncontrollably and her body trembling, Camilla fell to the ground and sank upon a stone bench. Through a voice that was raw and needy, she turned to Charles. "His hatred for me will last forever, Charles. He had a deep-seated hatred for me. All of a sudden, however, he has a reason. He will tell everyone that I was the one who killed his mother. He will incite the populace to turn against me. The crown will fall off my head before it has even had a chance to become secure." She then proceeded to utter the remarks that, according to the reports, shook Charles to his very core. The victor is Diana. Despite her passing, she has triumphed. The location of Camilla's head can be determined by looking at that particular line. The documents were no longer relevant to this discussion. A competition that lasted for decades, that she believed she would never be able to win a ghost, that she would never be able to escape. And the revelation that her son's actions had just given that ghost the triumph that she had always feared may be the subject of this story. During this time, William was not finished. The tempest that was roaring inside of him continued to rage even after he had left the courtyard. "I will tell Catherine everything tomorrow, and if Camilla doesn't know now, she will." He informed his father that he would tell Catherine everything. "It is impractical to bury this, father. You are unable to safeguard him. This time, not at all." The decision that William made to go public was the event that ultimately proved to be the defining moment of the entire issue. The palace made an effort to confine it for a period of 2 days. There were reporters swarming every nook and cranny with microphones aloft and queries reverberating through the air. Is there a conflict between Prince William and the king? Have the intimate letters that Diana had written been taken by Camilla's son? Are we witnessing yet another scandal involving the monarchy? There was no comment issued by the palace. It was intended that stillness would protect them, yet silence ended up being the most audible response of all. As soon as William emerged from Kensington Palace with Catherine by his side, he broke down the wall that had been separating them. In a typical situation, William will wave graciously, say a few words carefully, and then retreat. This time, not at all. His eyes were icy, his shoulders were rigid, and his jaw was fastened in a furious stance. He signaled for silence by raising his hand, and to everyone's surprise, the press complied. Although it was steady, his voice conveyed a lot of fire. "What I have to say is not going to be very long, but it will be honest. The memory of my mother is deserving of it." The reporters moved closer to the subject. "A few days ago, I came some personal belongings belonging to my late mother, Princess Diana, that had been concealed in a location where they should never have been. It was her private letters, her private fears, and her private heart that were being displayed here. They were not accorded any respect. They did not pose a threat." The audience reacted with gasps of surprise. With her hands tightly gripped together, Catherine lowered her eyes. William continued, his tone becoming more acerbic. "Despite the fact that I will not go into specifics today, I want everyone to be aware of this. The dignity of my mother will not be compelled to be hushed, not by this castle, not by anyone else." And with that, he retreated, refusing to continue his statement. Catherine guided him back inside by placing her hand on his arm and guiding him back. Damage had already been done. Within an hour, headlines were broadcast on each and every news station in Britain, and subsequently on every news station throughout the world. The hush over Diana's letters is broken by Prince William. There was an explosion of turmoil inside Buckingham Palace. They yelled across the tables, the advisors. Incessantly the phones rang. It was attempted to compose and rewrite statements, but none of them were powerful enough to stop the flames from spreading outside. In silence, Charles sat with his hands clasped together and his face feeling pallid. He was hurt more deeply by each and every word that William spoke. It was his kid who had been pled with to keep the matter a secret. Instead, William had decided to focus on the world. Finally, this is the point at which the larger pattern becomes apparent. This pertains to more than simply a single trunk or a single night. It was about years of unresolved pain, silent rage, and a family structure that had covered its fissures with polite smiles and prepared images. This was about the relationship between the family members. Over the course of his entire adult life, William had been acting out the part of the well-behaved heir. In front of the cameras, he flashed a grin. It appeared as though everything was in order. Despite the fact that he attended occasions alongside Camilla, he never recognized in public the anguish that her presence brought him. On the other side, that trunk, those letters, and Diana's handwriting caused him to experience a transformation. The experience prompted him to verbalize what he had previously only conveyed in quiet. I have spent my entire life pretending that this family was complete, but in reality, it wasn't. At the time that you picked her over your mother, it was broken. Within the courtyard, he conveyed this information to Charles. That is the wound that has been swollen and spreading for many years. Simply said, the bandage was pulled off by the trunk. The response from the general population was speedy and vehement. Pictures of Diana were held by the crowds that gathered at the gates of the castle. The way they chanted her name gave the impression that she had come back from the dead to take a stand against the monarchy once more. Images of her became commonplace on social media platforms. Interviews from the past, including her famous words on becoming the princess of the people. Many others received the impression that she had taken a new step forward. Her spirit was dragged off by the rage that her son felt. The declaration made by William was broadcast on each and every channel in the United States. Some commentators questioned whether or not this event marked the beginning of the decline of the monarchy. Split photographs were published in newspapers. A grin may be seen on one side of Diana. Camilla, who was crying, was seen on the other side. The headlines were able to write themselves, and the voters made their decision. Many people took William's side. Charles was defended by several. Few people supported Camilla's position. Charles, who was in the midst of the most severe crisis of his reign up to that point, took a last-ditch gamble. He made the decision to speak specifically to the nation. It was strongly discouraged by his counselors. The admission that there were letters would be too risky. It is too risky to verify that William was telling the truth. But Charles was able to outsmart all of them. He vowed to stop telling lies. We end up falling if we conceal. If we do not speak up, we will perish. I have to communicate with the people right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. She pled with him to refrain from doing it. In the event that you mention her, you will bury me. If you continue to speak, Diana will be elevated to a higher status than I am, even after my death, and the people will never forgive me. As he gazed at her with eyes that were filled with exhaustion, Charles remarked, "Tonight I am nothing more than a broken father." His lecture was brief, yet each word made a profound impression. It was not as a king, but rather as a man that he talked while standing in the royal room with the cameras blazing. His admission was that the personal letters belonging to Diana had been discovered in a location where they should never have been. It was his admission that it had caused his family, and William in particular, a great deal of pain. He stated that Diana was the mother of his children, and that she would be revered, remembered, and respected always. He also stated that she will always be remembered. After that, he uttered the words that left the entire nation in a state of shock. Any failure to safeguard her memory is my responsibility, and it is solely mine. I pray that my kid will forgive me, that he will have patience with me, and that he will let me heal. The response came about immediately. Across the entirety of Britain, crowds cheered his honesty. Many people received the impression that Charles had spoken from the heart rather than using words that he had prepared beforehand. However, other people converted their shouts into chants for Diana bringing her name up, as if she were still alive. The press lauded his bravery, but posed questions that could potentially be harmful. Does Camilla have the right to be queen if Charles recognizes that he has failed? Should William take the initiative earlier than anticipated if he is the person who is protecting Diana's memory? Camilla could be seen sobbing uncontrollably within the palace, with her crown falling away like sand. Through her fingers, she felt as though she had been stripped naked in front of the world. He muttered an expletive under his breath, certain that the responsibility for the trunk would never be removed from him. As William and Catherine sat in silence in his study, William listened to his father's comments. Catherine was also present. Following the conclusion of the event, he did not cheer or curse. The only thing he did was murmur, but at long end, he revealed the truth. "Are you willing to forgive him?" Catherine questioned, as she gently caressed his hand. William gazed out the window at the pitch-black night that lay beyond it. His eyes remained intense, and his jaw was clenched tightly. He responded, "I am not sure. Although the truth has been communicated, it is not sufficient to heal on its own, and now is where the story truly comes to a culmination. Not on the finding, not on the conflict, and not even on the explosion that was witnessed by the public. In the end, it comes down to the reality that a family that had been founded on managing their image and maintaining silence had its walls eventually brought down by a trunk that wasn't completely shut. Tom Parker Bowles might have had good intentions, but it's impossible to say for sure. It's possible that other people did in fact hand him the documents. Perhaps he was truly under the impression that he was protecting them. However, the manner in which everything transpired, including the open trunk, the banquet at the palace, the time, and the excuse that it was a book project, does not constitute a satisfactory explanation. After all is said and done, the result is a family that has never dealt with its grief, its guilt, or its ghosts in an appropriate manner. The letters that Diana had written were stored away in archives, yet her legacy was never truly buried. Just waiting for someone to remove the lid was all that was required. Over the course of that night, Catherine wrote in her own notebook, "I love my husband, but I fear for him." Catherine was watching all of this happen. "I am afraid that if he is not able to control his anger, it will end up being the very thing that brings him down. It is possible that the world desires for us to be their king and queen, but all I want is for our family to be at peace. It is my hope that he will not forget that the crown is not a prize. It is an encumbrance. And if they are born with fury, burdens have the power to break even the most resilient of men." Following the closing of the book, she extinguished the candle. However, the weight of everything that had occurred did not lift, despite the fact that the room felt dark, mostly due to the fact that the trunk was once again shut, but the questions were still very much open. Just who was it that handed Tom the files? Why at this time? Do you know what else was concealed within those papers? Furthermore, the most important question is what William would do with the fire that his mother's memories had rekindled within him. The monarchy made it through the speech, made it through the headlines, and persevered during the night. Hi viewers, if you deeply respect Prince William for bravely stepping in front of the cameras to break the palace's 30-year silence and finally demand the dignity his mother deserves, put yes in the comments. Like this video, share it and subscribe right now. Let's show the palace that Diana's legacy can never be locked in the trunk of a car. Hit that subscribe button right now to permanently secure her memory.